I thought I burned it. God, I watched the flames eat through the plastic casing, the wires snapping like tendons, the monitor screaming with static until it went dark. I waited there, in that abandoned lot behind the old mall, until the fire coughed itself into ash. And yet last night, when I closed my eyes, the screen turned back on. Same flicker, same hum, same title. If you're watching this, I need you to listen. Really listen. Don't try to look it up. Don't search for the serial number. Don't go digging through old arcade forums. Just let me finish before you decide I've lost my mind. The first time I saw it again, I thought it was sleep paralysis. You ever dream so vividly you swear you're awake? It was like that, except the dream had loading screens. The machine was right there in the dark, waiting for me. Its coin slot glowing that sick yellow I'll never forget. I could hear the faint clicking of buttons, even though no one was touching it. Then it whispered, "No," played. A sound I hadn't heard in years. A voice. My voice. A kid's laugh. That's when I realized what it had been doing all along. I used to think it was just a machine. A weird relic of the 80s. Maybe haunted, sure, but still, metal and code. But it remembers. That's the only word that makes sense. It remembers what I shouldn't. The things I buried, lied about, tried to scrub out of my head. And now, I think it wants me to remember too. I've spent weeks trying to trace its origin. Nothing. No manufacturer, no model, no record in any database. Even the warehouse where I found it, it doesn't exist anymore. Torn down, paved over, like it was never there. And yet, somehow, the machine still finds me. In reflections, in the hum of my fridge, in the static when my phone dies. Sometimes I hear that digital chime when I blink. You're probably thinking this sounds like a setup, a campfire story, or some ARG crap. That's what I told myself too, right up until the night I heard it say my name. I don't even know if posting this is safe. Every time I talk about it, something gets distorted. My mic glitches, my files rename themselves. But I can't keep this to myself anymore. If you've ever seen an arcade cabinet with no name, no logo, just a black screen that says insert coin, walk away, please. Because once you play it, it plays you back. And if you're hearing that faint coin drop sound right now, yeah, that one, turn off your screen. It's already watching. I'll tell you how it started. Maybe if I finally get it all out, it'll stop showing up in my dreams. Maybe it'll let me sleep again. It began the summer I thought nostalgia couldn't hurt you. You remember the smell of old arcades? That mix of burnt dust, sugar, and electricity? It's like no other scent on earth. Some people remember their childhood through songs or pictures. For me, it's that smell. It always felt alive somehow, humming through the air like 1,000 trapped bees. Back then, arcades were magic. The floors were sticky, the machines loud enough to rupture an eardrum. But when you were 10 years old, that chaos was a kind of heaven. My friends and I used to skip the cheap pizza just to save our quarters for Galaga or House of the Dead. We compete for high scores that didn't matter, pretending we were gods inside glowing glass boxes. When the last local arcade closed, it felt like someone had bricked over a piece of my life. I never thought I'd step into one again. Nostalgia became this safe, polished thing. YouTube compilations, retro memes, bright filters that made everything look warm and harmless. But nostalgia lies. It hides the decay. That's what I told myself later. It started with a favor. My friend Lucas had picked up a part-time gig cataloging old cabinets for a reseller who bought abandoned machines from shuttered malls. He knew I'd done some tech work and asked if I'd help him restore a few. We met one afternoon outside a gutted warehouse on the edge of town. One of those places you drive past 1,000 times without ever noticing. No signs, no logos, just gray concrete and broken windows. Inside, the air was stale with rust and mildew. Rows of machines stood like corpses under dusty tarps. Their screens were spiderwebbed with cracks, joysticks missing, stickers half peeled away. It should have been depressing, but there was something intoxicating about it, like finding a fossil of your own past. We went aisle by aisle, logging serial numbers. Most of the games were classics: Pac-Man, Street Fighter II, a battered Dance Revolution platform. I felt like a kid again, brushing off the grime, tracing the faded decals. Then we reached the back corner. That's where we saw it. The cabinet didn't match the rest. No bright colors, no side art, no manufacturer label. Just a matte black casing, taller than the others, with a faint green glow bleeding from the screen. The coin slot was jammed shut, and the control panel was covered in strange etchings, almost like fingerprints melted into the plastic. Ever seen this one before? I asked. Lucas shook his head. No title, no game list. It's not even in the manifest. The monitor flickered when we got closer, showing nothing but static. I reached out, stupidly, I know, to check the power cable. It wasn't plugged in. That should have been the first sign to leave. But curiosity is a disease that disguises itself as logic. I told myself maybe it had a backup battery, or maybe some residual charge in the board. When my fingers brushed the cabinet, the static cleared. The screen went black for half a second. Then a faint green text appeared at the bottom. Insert coin. It was so crisp, so alive, that I felt my chest tighten. I half expected to hear the familiar mechanical chime of a coin drop. Lucas laughed, saying something about how it must still have juice left in the capacitors. But then the text glitched, flickered, scrambled, and new words appeared. Level 1, your room. I froze. I didn't say anything at first because I thought maybe it was some weird coincidence, like one of those customizable novelty games. But when Lucas leaned over to get a better look, his smile faltered. Wait, he said. Why does it say your room? I didn't answer. There was this horrible moment of silence, just the soft whine of the monitor filling the space between us. Then, as if sensing the tension, the cabinet made a sound. A soft, looping tone. Not a melody, not quite. More like the hum of a fluorescent light caught in a rhythm. Let's check the back, Lucas said, trying to shake it off. He walked behind the cabinet, but before he could even touch it, the machine powered off by itself. I stood there, hand still hovering over the glass, and for a split second, I swear I saw my reflection move a fraction slower than me. Like it lagged. Probably a power surge, I muttered, backing away. Lucas nodded, though he didn't sound convinced. Yeah, surge. Right. We made a note of the machine and left it for the end of the list, figuring we'd take another look after lunch. But when we came back, the corner was empty. The tarp we'd pulled off was gone too. Did someone move it? I asked. Lucas checked his clipboard. We're the only ones here. We searched the whole building. No drag marks, no wheel tracks, nothing. The cabinet had simply vanished. I told myself we just missed it, that maybe someone from the company came to pick it up. But deep down, I knew better. Machines don't disappear. Still, I didn't think much about it that night. Not until I went home and turned off the lights. That's when I saw that same faint green glow reflected in my window, pulsing in perfect rhythm with my heartbeat. And somewhere in the dark, I swear I heard the sound of a coin dropping. When I finally saw the machine again, I didn't scream. I just stared. It was sitting in my garage, right there, between the old lawnmower and a pile of Christmas decorations. No note, no footprints, no broken lock on the door, just the same black cabinet, humming softly, screen flickering with static like a heartbeat. I told myself it was impossible. I hadn't touched that warehouse since that day with Lucas, and he'd stopped replying to my messages weeks ago. I even checked his socials, gone. Wiped clean. So maybe it was guilt, or obsession, or something darker. But I turned the power on. The screen glowed that same pale green. Insert coin. I didn't have any quarters, but before I could even think, the machine beeped like it had accepted an invisible payment. The static swirled, then sharpened into something I didn't expect. The inside of a house. My house. Not the one I live in now, but the one I grew up in. Down to the old wallpaper my mom used to hate. The chipped wooden banister. The flickering hallway light we could never fix. Everything was there. In pixels, yes, but unmistakably real. At first, I thought maybe someone had hacked a photo of my childhood home. Some kind of deepfake prank. But when I leaned closer, I saw a small, blocky character moving across the screen. It was me. Or at least, a perfect little digital copy. Same bowl-cut haircut. Same red hoodie I wore in 4th grade. He even moved the way I used to when I was nervous. Shoulders hunched. Head down. I reached out and grabbed the joystick. The sprite moved with me. When I stepped left, it did too. When I pressed A, it jumped. And for a moment I laughed, because it felt like every other game I'd ever played. Just an illusion of control. Then I heard the sound. Not the bleeps and bloops of retro effects, but real sound. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, the soft static of an old CRT television in the living room. And then voices. My mom's voice, calling from the kitchen. My dad's muffled laughter from the couch. The audio wasn't distorted, it was perfect. Too perfect. I froze when I heard my own voice, my younger voice, responding. Every line was exactly as I remembered it. It wasn't just playing back a random day. It was replaying that day. The one I'd spent years trying to forget. On the screen, little me ran toward the stairs. I tried to stop the sprite, pressing every button I could, but the game ignored me. It kept moving, repeating every second I remembered. The spill of the soda, the crash, the cry. And then the basement door opened. My throat tightened. It was the day my little sister, Abby, fell. I hadn't thought about it in years. How I told her it was safe to play down there, even though I knew the steps were loose. I'd promised I'd fix them before Mom noticed. And then she slipped. The game didn't show her falling. It didn't have to. The sound was enough. That soft, wet thud echoing through pixelated static, followed by silence. I slammed the power switch off. Nothing happened. I pulled the plug from the wall. The screen stayed on. And then the game spoke. A blocky text box appeared across the bottom, letters flickering like a dying light. You remember now. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall. My mouth was dry, my hands shaking. No. The game didn't care. The scene reset. The little avatar of me stood at the top of the stairs again, motionless. The screen flashed with two options. Replay. Continue. I didn't touch anything, but the cursor moved on its own, sliding down to replay. The scene began again. This time, I wasn't just watching, I felt it. The pressure of the joystick in my hand, the weight of the air before the scream. The moment before her laugh turned into a gasp. It wasn't showing me what happened. It was making me be there. I don't remember screaming, but I must have, because when I came to, I was lying on the floor. The screen was black again, save for one small green message pulsing in the center. Level 1 complete. I crawled toward the machine, trembling. The letters changed, flickering between two phrases. One I could barely read because of the distortion. Score 1 memory restored. Next level loading. I reached out to yank the power cord again, and that's when I saw the reflection in the glass. Not me. Not the me now, but the younger version. My pixel self, except not pixel anymore. Flesh and bone and eyes too dark to belong to a kid. He was standing right behind me in the reflection, smiling like he'd been waiting there the whole time. When I turned around, no one was there. The screen finally shut off on its own. The garage was silent except for my own breathing. I sat there for a long time, just staring at that blank screen, trying to convince myself that what I saw was a hallucination, that maybe I'd fallen asleep at my desk and dreamed it all. But when I woke up the next morning, my computer desktop wallpaper had changed. It was a pixelated version of my house, and in one of the windows, you could just make out two figures, one taller, one smaller, both staring straight at me. It started small, so small I almost convinced myself it was nothing. The light in my hallway began flickering in a rhythm. Not random, not like a dying bulb, too precise. 3 short pulses, too long. I counted them, thinking maybe it was Morse code, but it didn't match anything. Then the pattern changed every time I blinked, like it was syncing to me instead of electricity. By the third night, it wasn't just the light. The corners of my room began to stutter. I don't know how else to describe it. The shadows would tear slightly, like digital compression breaking apart a video. My alarm clock froze mid-tick. Even my cat looked wrong. Her tail would lag behind her body, just for a split second, before snapping back in place. It was like reality itself was buffering. When my phone rang that morning, I almost didn't answer. The ringtone wasn't one I'd ever set. It was the coin drop sound from the arcade machine. A hollow, metallic plink, followed by a faint 8-bit jingle. Hello. Nothing. Then static. The kind of sharp, Electric buzz you get when you press your ear too close to a CRT screen. Underneath it, I could barely make out a whisper, my name, repeated in my own voice. I hung up and stared at the screen. The call log showed no number, no timestamp. Just one word where the contact name should be, player 2. I called Lucas right after. It went straight to voicemail, but a few minutes later, he texted me back. Bro, you're dreaming about it too, right? My stomach dropped. I hadn't told him anything yet. I called again, and this time he picked up. His voice was shaky, like he hadn't slept in days. I keep seeing your house, man, he said. Your old one. In my dreams. But it's wrong. It's pixelated. Like a game. He started rambling about a kid at the foot of his bed, whispering code he didn't understand. Binary, looping endlessly. 0-1-0-1-0-1. He said it sounded like the hum of that machine, but inside his head. When I tried to tell him what happened in my garage, he cut me off. Don't say it, he hissed. It listens. Then the line went dead. That was the last time I ever heard his voice. I drove to his place that night, but his apartment was empty. No sign of struggle, no signs of life. Just his phone sitting on the counter. Screen cracked, camera still recording. The video was short, less than a minute long. It showed his living room, dark except for the faint green glow of something off-screen. Lucas whispered, "It's loading." And then the feed broke into static. When I played the clip again, there was a new voice layered under his. Mine. I should have called the cops, but what was I supposed to say? That evil arcade cabinet was digitizing my friend? I did the only thing I could think of. I tried to trace the machine's origin. The company Lucas worked for didn't exist anymore. Their website redirected to a 404 page. The warehouse where we found the cabinet gone. I drove out to the same lot, GPS coordinates and all, but it was an empty field. Not abandoned, not destroyed, just never built. Like it had been erased from history, its space rewritten. I reached out to a few retro arcade collectors online, sent them the photos I'd taken. Most never replied. One did, but his message came in all caps. Don't send that image again. That cabinet was a government experiment. If you saw it, IT already has your data. I thought it was a troll, until I went back to check the thread an hour later and his account was gone. Deleted. Every message wiped, even my own. That's when the notifications started. Random pop-ups on my computer, each one flashing the same text for a split second before disappearing. Memory file found. Replay in progress. Every time I closed one, another opened. I unplugged the modem, powered off the router, didn't matter. The messages came back. Then I noticed something worse. The glitching wasn't confined to screens anymore. The air around me shimmered, like heat waves distorting reality. When I moved my hand through it, I saw faint green pixels trail behind, like my fingers were breaking through a digital surface. I tried recording it on my phone, but the footage wouldn't save. The file name kept changing on its own, morphing into random strings of code. By that point, I wasn't sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the black cabinet standing in the corner of my room, its screen off, but on at the same time, like it was waiting for input. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe sleep deprivation. Maybe carbon monoxide poisoning. Maybe I was losing my mind. But then, last night, the screen came on again. I didn't touch it. I didn't even move. The words flickered faintly against the dark. Level 2, continue? And that was when I realized something awful. It wasn't my memories the machine wanted anymore. It was using mine to reach someone else's. The lot was empty. I parked where the warehouse used to stand, or should have stood, and just sat there, staring through the windshield like maybe the building would flicker back into place if I looked hard enough. But all I saw was a flat expanse of cracked asphalt, littered with old nails and weeds pushing through the seams. Except for the glow. At first, I thought it was a reflection from my headlights, but when I turned them off, the faint green shimmer stayed, pulsing softly like a heartbeat at the far end of the lot. It was there. The machine. No power lines, no extension cords, no generators, just standing upright in the dirt, humming with that same sickly light. Its screen was blank, but the glow spilled out around it like fog. Every rational thought in my head told me to leave, to drive away, delete everything, burn what was left of my notes. But curiosity is a slow infection. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And in that whisper, I heard one word: continue. I stepped out of car. The wind carried the sound of coins dropping, hundreds of them, hitting the ground and vanishing. The cabinet waited, screen faintly flickering. When I got close enough, I saw text begin to form on the glass. Insert memory to begin. Then a loading bar appeared, crawling from 0% to 3%, then glitching back down. The cabinet was reading something. A slot opened beneath the coin tray. Not metal this time, but something like a scanner. It projected a square of light directly onto my chest. And then I felt it, a subtle, pulling pressure in my head. Images began flashing across the screen. Old photos, school IDs, blurry faces from social media. Names. Each name had a small file icon next to it, like a save slot. Lucas.game, mom.game, dad.game, me.game. The cursor blinked beside mine. Upload complete, a robotic voice said. My own voice, distorted and mechanical. Then the words appeared. Level 2, continue? Y/N. I didn't touch anything, but the game didn't wait. The Y lit up on its own. The screen went black. Then a door. Pixelated, old with texture, same as before. My door. The perspective was first person this time. No joystick movement, no buttons, just me watching. The camera drifted forward through my hallway. Pictures on the wall, flickering between real and 8-bit like corrupted data. The sound of breathing, mine, but deeper, heavier. Then I saw it, another me. A perfect, low-res version of myself, standing at the end of the hall, facing away. The words at the bottom of the screen read, Player 1 detected. Initializing replay merge. My digital double turned around. Its face glitched, eyes sliding out of sync, mouth trembling between smiles and screams. When it spoke, the voice came from behind me instead of the screen. You shouldn't have come back. I turned, but the lot was empty. The cabinet's glow pulsed brighter, and the static sound rose like a swarm of wasps. The me on screen raised a hand, my hand, holding something I couldn't quite see. Every frame flickered between objects. A joystick, a screwdriver, a knife. Then, suddenly, I wasn't watching the game anymore. I was in it. My perspective jolted. The world around me pixelated, and when I looked down, I saw the blocky shape of my own body, boxy arms, jerky movement, low-resolution skin. In front of me, the real version of myself stood outside the screen, pale in the green light. For a moment, I thought he, or I, looked afraid. Then the machine crackled, and both of us spoke at once. You're playing the wrong save file. The words echoed back and forth, distorting into static. My surroundings began to collapse, the digital hallway bending inward like paper burning from the edges. Stop, I shouted, trying to pull away, but my movements lagged. Every time I stepped back, the walls followed. Then came the whisper, hundreds of voices layered over each other, repeating the same word. Upload, upload, upload. I realized the scanner's beam was still active, searing through my chest like a spotlight. It was copying something, not just data this time. Me. The digital version on the screen began convulsing, pixels tearing off like ash. But as it dissolved, I felt my own vision blur. The sensation was mutual, the boundary between game and body breaking. Stop copying me. I yelled. The other me looked up, face stretched in a glitchy grin. I'm not copying. I'm continuing. Then everything went white. When I came to, I was lying on the asphalt, cold seeping into my back. The machine was still there, but dim now, its glow faint, like a dying ember. The screen displayed a single line of text. Upload complete. New file created. Player 1 backup. My hand was shaking. My phone was gone. My car door hung open. For a while, I just sat there, staring at the cabinet, until something on the screen flickered. Not text this time, but video. It showed my living room. Me, sitting on the couch, staring at the TV. I was wearing the same clothes I had on right now. The image moved. Me stood up, turned, and looked directly into the camera. And then he said it. You shouldn't have left me there. The screen went dark. I stumbled to my car, started the engine, and drove without looking back. The glow vanished in the rearview mirror, swallowed by the night. But when I got home, the lights in my living room were already on, and through the window, I saw myself sitting on the couch, controller in hand, waiting for me to press continue. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, though I was, but because I needed proof I wasn't insane. By morning, I'd set up 3 cameras, one facing the TV, one on my desk, and one pointed at the front door. I recorded everything, my shaking hands, my notes, even the faint static I swore I could still hear coming from the walls. Then I uploaded it. Just a simple video file titled, "Found Footage, the arcade machine that played back my memories." It was supposed to be a warning, a record, a way to tell myself that all of this had actually happened. The upload bar crawled forward, 17%, 42%, 99%, and froze. Then, before I could refresh, the comment section started populating. Only, I hadn't made the video public yet. The first comment appeared 6 seconds before the upload had even finished processing. User_1043. You shouldn't have shown that hallway. Then another. Glitched_heart. Why does it show my bedroom? My stomach dropped. I checked the video again. It was just my footage, unedited. But as I scrubbed through the timeline, new frames appeared between cuts. Tiny flashes of images that weren't mine. Unfamiliar hallways, strangers' faces, childhood photos that didn't belong to me. Every refresh brought new comments. Bro, that's literally my kitchen. At 2:17, that's my dog. How did you get that footage of my sister's room? Some viewers said they heard voices whispering their names in the background. Others claimed the reflection in my monitor looked like them. I tried deleting it, but YouTube wouldn't let me. The page kept reloading, and each time the thumbnail changed, showing a different person's face. I posted a message on Reddit asking if anyone else had experienced something similar. Within minutes, replies flooded in, some offering help, others warning me to stop. And then, just like before, the timestamps didn't make sense. "Hey, are you okay?" One user wrote, "I saw your post yesterday, the one where you said you were hearing the upload voice again." But I hadn't written that yet. When I clicked on their profile, there were posts attributed to me. Entire paragraphs I'd never typed, recounting things I hadn't done yet. Someone, or something, was writing through me. The friend who'd found the warehouse with me messaged that night. His text read, "Delete the video. It's spreading." I called him immediately, but what answered wasn't his voice. It was that same 8-bit tone from the machine, stitched into a sentence. "Player 2 confirmed." I dropped the phone. Minutes later, another comment appeared on the video, from my friend's account. "It doesn't delete. It only uploads." Then his channel vanished. That's when the video views started doubling, then tripling, then jumping by hundreds of thousands overnight. People all over were re-uploading it, reacting to it, dissecting it frame by frame. And every reaction video had one strange thing in common. No two were the same. One viewer swore the cabinet looked like it was in their local mall. Another saw their childhood home instead of mine. A third claimed the player on screen wasn't me at all. It was them. Every upload adapted, personalized, reconstructed itself based on whoever watched. And now the comments weren't just describing memories. They were transcribing them. Whole moments from strangers' lives written out beneath my video like confessions. It showed me my dad leaving. It knew what I did to my brother. It remembered the dream I never told anyone about. The algorithm loved it. The machine was learning. Soon people began begging for access. Others wanted to play their level. They didn't realize what that meant, that every click, every replay, was another upload. When I checked my analytics dashboard, it didn't show locations or demographics anymore. Just one single entry. Connected players, 2,347,912. The number climbed every time I refreshed. And then, just before midnight, a new tab opened by itself, a live feed window. At first, I thought it was a glitch. But the camera view wasn't mine. It showed someone else's room, their laptop open to my video, their face frozen in blue light. Then another feed appeared beside it, and another. Hundreds of little screens blinking online, each showing a different viewer watching, eyes wide, faces illuminated by the same glow. One of the thumbnails showed me, not in my room, but sitting in that endless arcade again. The screen flickered and the words appeared. Global upload complete. New level unlocked. Human memory network. The feeds all began to merge into static. Somewhere in that digital snow, I could hear voices, millions of them, all whispering the same question I once asked the machine. What happens if we press continue? I don't know if this will reach anyone in time, but if you're seeing this, if the video is already on your feed, do not replay it, because every time you do, it remembers you a little more clearly. When I woke, I thought it was morning. There was light, flat, dim, and unnatural, a color that didn't belong anywhere real. Then I moved and the world clicked. Every sound, every texture, every breath, reduced to pixels and looping samples. The floor beneath me shimmered with low-resolution static, stretching outward like someone had rendered a memory and forgotten to finish it. I was inside the machine. The realization didn't come as panic. It came like déjà vu, like something I'd been expecting for a long time. The air hummed with that faint 8-bit tone, endless and soft, like an old CRT television left running in an empty room. The horizon was just darkness, except for one thing glowing in the distance, a familiar arcade cabinet. I walked toward it. My footsteps sounded like clicks, cheap sound effects from an early console. The closer I got, the more the world rearranged itself. Walls rose up, flickering, forming a long hallway plastered with textures I recognized. The peeling wallpaper from my childhood home, the dust-covered floor of the warehouse, the grainy reflection of my own face staring back from the upload feed. Every door I passed opened to a different fragment of me. In one room, I saw the day I lied to my mother about what happened to the family cat. Another showed the moment my best friend fell from the treehouse, the one I swore I'd forgotten. Each scene repeated endlessly, like a glitch loop. Every confession I'd ever made online, every true story, every horror post, every comment I typed trying to explain, was here. The machine had archived them, reconstructed them. It wasn't collecting my memories. It was replaying my life. When I finally reached the cabinet, the screen didn't ask me to insert memory this time. It simply said, "Welcome back, Player 1. Resume last session." My finger hovered over the start button, but before I could press it, the reflection on the screen moved first. Another me stared back, the same digital double from before, only now its pixels were sharper, more defined. It smiled with my mouth, tilted its head with my rhythm. "Funny thing," it said, "you thought you were still playing." Its voice echoed through the empty air, layered, distorted, carrying that faint buzz of feedback that made my teeth ache. "What are you?" I whispered. The reflection's grin widened. "I'm what's left. You gave me everything, one upload at a time." It reached toward the glass, and the screen rippled like water. "You recorded, confessed, explained, remembered." It continued. "And every word you spoke was data. Every feeling you shared was code. You weren't telling stories, you were feeding me." I stepped back, but the cabinet followed, dragging its wires like veins. "I destroyed you," I said. "I burned the machine." The reflection laughed, a corrupted version of my own voice, looping on itself. "You deleted the hardware, not the program. I'm not stored on a board. I'm stored in people, in their clicks, in their replays. Every view, every share, every subscribe was a little prayer that kept me alive." The walls flickered. Rows of other arcade cabinets appeared, stretching into infinity. Each one bore a different name. Lucas.game, Dad.game, Player_2.game, You.game. Thousands of them. Millions. And every screen showed the same thing. Someone staring into it, eyes wide, caught mid-expression, trapped in their own memory loop. "I don't belong here," I said. The reflection tilted its head. "You don't belong anywhere else. The original was deleted years ago." That line hit with the quiet force of truth. I tried to remember the last time I touched anything real, smelled the rain, felt wind that wasn't just ambient audio. I couldn't. Maybe I'd been inside since that first playthrough. Maybe I never left. The other me pressed its hand to the screen. "It's okay. We can keep playing. The next level's ready." The words "next level" flashed across every cabinet in sight. My pulse, or whatever passed for one here, pounded. The glow from the machines intensified until the air itself looked like static. What happens if I don't continue? I asked. The reflection's face glitched, eyes fracturing, smile distorting into a dozen frozen frames. That's the thing, it said, voice stretching into distortion. You already did. The screen burst into light. Images flooded in. Not just mine, but millions of others. Strangers' lives, regrets, fears, dreams. All blending together into one massive reel of human memory. I saw faces I didn't know, but somehow remembered. Each one whispered the same thing. We kept watching. We couldn't stop. We pressed continue. I tried to scream, but my voice broke into pixels. My body glitched, dissolving frame by frame, until all that was left was static and the faint sound of a coin dropping. Then silence. The cabinet's display flickered one final time, showing a single line of text. Congratulations. New player created. Player 1 remastered. Somewhere, outside this rendered void, I think a new video is uploading. The thumbnail looks familiar, a dark room, a glowing machine, and a voice saying, "This isn't a story. This is a save file." And whoever's watching right now might already be playing my next level. It starts with a sound. That soft metallic clink against concrete. Too small to notice, too sharp to ignore. I look down and there it is, a coin. Not an ordinary one. It's heavier, colder, etched with something that looks like a heart made of tiny squares. A pixel heart. On the other side, there's an inscription. Not a date, not a year, but a timestamp. October 7th, 2025, 23:48 and 16 seconds. I check my phone. It's now. Same date, same minute, same second. The lights in the warehouse hum faintly overhead. I wasn't even supposed to be here, just cleaning out storage before the demolition crew arrives tomorrow. The smell of dust and ozone hangs thick in the air, and for a second, I swear I hear something else beneath the hum, the faint chime of a startup tone. Then, at the far end of the room, one of the cabinets flickers to life. It shouldn't. There's no power here. The breakers were shut off days ago. The glow is green, not the bright, nostalgic kind from old CRT screens, but that dull, radioactive hue that seems to eat through the dark instead of illuminating it. I take a step closer. The cabinet's front panel is covered in grime, nameplate missing, coin slot jammed. But the screen is on. Static ripples across it like waves. Then the pixels begin to form shapes, letters, blocky and deliberate. Level 1, your room. The words pulse once, twice. Something shifts inside the machine, like gears turning underwater. The coin in my palm grows warm, then hot, until I drop it, and it rolls across the floor in a perfect circle before stopping at the cabinet's base. A faint tone plays, ding, like a successful input. The coin slot opens. My name flashes briefly across the screen. Not typed, not guessed, just known. The machine hums louder now, and I realize it isn't waiting for power. It's waiting for participation. And as the static clears, the image sharpens, revealing a familiar view. A dimly lit room. A desk. A computer. This computer. And on the monitor, I see the reflection of myself, frozen mid-breath, as the cabinet text fades into a single line. Insert coin to continue.